Hi everyone. So in this video we are going to take a look at how we can export the PowerApps gallery data into a CSV file. You have seen a lot of video where you can just have one button on the PowerApps canvas app, and when you click on export it will export all the data from that gallery. But here the approach is little bit different. So there are lots of cases where you have the 50 records, but out of those 50 you only want to export like 20 to 30 records. So how we can achieve this kind of functionality in our PowerApps Canvas application, that we are going to see here. So first I will show you the demo. For this I have taken SharePoint list as a backend, and it contains the employee information. So there is a bulk, this is the dummy data I have downloaded from the website. So currently the list has over 30,000 entries, and as you can see the latest is 34,122. So almost 30,000 plus data is here. So I connected this list to my PowerApps application, and here I am showcasing the full name, email address, phone number, blood groups, department, these fields in my PowerApps gallery. Also I have implemented search functionality, so user can search according to full name. There is a drop downs which filter the record based on the blood group and departments, so that we can directly filter out the result and export the filtered result into the CSV file. So let's say if I apply the filter for the blood group, let's say I want all the employees whose blood group is A positive. Then if I apply that filter, then the PowerApps gallery will show me only the blood group of having A positive. Then also I'm going to narrow down the filter in such a way that the blood group will be A positive and the people are from the IT department. So I can apply multiple filters. So you can see the blood group is A positive and the department is IT. Again, if you want to narrow down this filter and you want more specific results, so let's say you want to search for an employee whose name starts with, let's say, Mars. So if I put MARC here, so you can see all these employees names start with MARC. So I got these 4 records. So what I can just simply do, I can just select these check boxes. I want all these peoples, or I want only 2-3 peoples, let's say, right? So I can just select them too. I can click on export. So the export is in progress. So once the export is completed, there will be a button that says open the link. Because we are using Power Automate for this, it will create a CSV file in our SharePoint document library. Once the file is created, we are going to use that link so that user can easily open that link in PowerApps only, so they don't have to navigate to SharePoint document library to see the file. So when I click on open, it will open the CSV file. I will zoom in a little bit so you can see this. So it got first name, last name, and all the columns we have configured in our Canvas app. One thing to note here, we have the only 4 to 5 columns, but that doesn't mean that your export to Excel will only include those columns. You can specify this column in Power Automate, because in Power Apps we don't need to show all the columns, right? We are just showing the column that makes sense, like first name, full name, phone number, etc. When I click on reset, the selection will be resetted, PowerApps filter will be reset, and you can see all the data. So currently the data is in descending manner. So you can see the latest one is 34,000 ID, that is our the last record. So this functionality we are going to see how we are going to build this in PowerApps. So for that, I'm not going to explain you like how we can build the gallery, because it's really simple. Our main purpose of this video will be the functional part. So I have built a PowerApps gallery where I took some headers, some search, and the drop downs. Here is my gallery. In that gallery, I have applied the search. I will show you the formula quick. So where I am going to sort the result based on the descending manner. Then I am going to search for the first name and filter the record based on the blood group and department name. So blood group and department name, these are the choice column in my SharePoint list. If I go to my SharePoint list, and you can see there is a column called blood group and department name. So these are the single choice fields. Rest I have taken majorly of text and the number control and date format. I will go to PowerApps again. So this is the simple search. For the PowerApps gallery, I have added one checkbox here. So I will go here. In my gallery, there is one checkbox. So you can see I did not added any formula in on check, on select or on uncheck. So the default property I am showcasing this like using this formula, because whenever we select any item, we want this checkbox to be checked. So what I did, instead of writing the formula on checkbox, I have written the formula directly on the complete row. For this, I have taken one button. So you can see there is a button, that is a transparent button I have taken, because it will not give you hover effect. It will just, when you play the application, you will get the pointer like this one. If you click outside, you will get this arrow, but if you hover over that row, you get pointer, so that user know that we need to click on that, or they can just simply click on checkboxes. Both things will work. So for this, I have taken one button. This is the modern control button. Then the first thing you have to do, make that button to be transparent. Then select the icon style to be outline, and for the text you have to select the blank, because there will be no text on that button. So on button select, there is no formula associated. Click on the gallery, and on the gallery select, we have this formula. So what we are doing is we are just creating a collection, because we want to store the data that we need to export in somewhere, right? So for that, we are going to use a collection. So this is my formula on the gallery on select of this item. So first, what I will do, I will just simply remove this. First, the formula we have to write, like whenever we click on that item, it should go in that collection. So for that, we have the formula called collect. Let's say this is my collection name, and then this item. Now the reason we are using collect is because if we click multiple checkboxes, we don't want existing item to be removed. That's why we are using collect function instead of clear collect. Right? So this formula what does is, when I click on any item, it will go in that collection. So I will just play this app. So let's say this is one, I will click on some items. So currently there are how many items are selected? 8. So I'm using the label also, so that user knows how many items they have selected. I will go to my collections, and let's see how many items we have in that table. So I think there are 8 items, right? So I will play the app again, and what I will do, I will just click on the existing items. So we will check whether it's unchecked or not. So I will click on this item again, but you can see even though I'm clicking on these items, the checkboxes is checked, and there is a little background as well, because we have added the formula to add in a collection, but we did not add any condition to remove those items from the collection if the item already exists in that. So this we are going to kept it here only. I will just remove this formula because we are going to need it after that. So first I will apply a condition. First I will check whether this item is present in our collection. So this is our collection name. So this is my collection name. So if this item present in this collection, then I'm just going to simply remove that item. Remove from where we need to remove the data source name, which is our collection, and which item I'm going to remove, this item. And then if the item does not exist in the collection, we are just going to simply add that item in that collection. I will click on format text. So I hope you get that condition. Or what we can simply do, we can just click on explain this formula. So let's see what this formula does. This expression checks the current item is already in the collection. If it is, then it will remove the item from the table. So I generally use this Copilot formula explanation. So I will just simply copy it and simply paste it here. So it will give the like nice explanation to this formula. So if you are sharing this app to another developer, so they will get in understanding for this. So currently this explain Copilot formula does not work with large formulas, but the simple formula like this one, they can easily explain like this. So I generally do this because it gives a little bit clarity about what this function does. Now the first part is done to add or remove item from the collection. I will play the app, simply click on reset. Now I will check the item. So let's say this random item I have checked, and I will click on that item that I already selected. So you can see whenever I clicked on that item, it got removed. So let's say I have selected 5 items. I will go to my collection. Let's see in the table how many items we have. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now I will simply uncheck 4 items and keep only 1 item in my collection. Click on view table. You can see there is only 1 item. So this part is our completed. Now we got the collection that we need to export. Again, you will think about how I did this a little background and the checkbox is checked. So for that I have to do the checkbox control as I said earlier, and for the checkbox we have the property default where we can set the default checkbox is check or not. So on the default property I am using this formula, this item in this collection. So if the item is present in that collection, then I need to check this checkbox. So this is a really simple formula. To show the background, I have used the rectangle control, which I put all the way to the background, and the rectangle is visible only if this item exists in that collection. So the formula for this one and for the checkbox is completely same. Now that PowerApps thing is completed, I will click on save. Now we need to create a Power Automate flow for this to export the data. So here I have already created a flow, export employee information. I will just remove that from application because we are going to create a new flow from scratch. So you don't get confused here. Now I will create a new flow. The reason you are seeing the error because the flow is already associated with this, but the flow is not anymore. That's why it's giving me error. So no worries, we are going to create a flow in just about a minute. So simply click on create a flow. I will create flow from blank. Now the trigger will be PowerApps because we already creating this flow from the PowerApps trigger, right? So when you click on that button, the flow will trigger from the PowerApps. The first step we have to do is we have to go to this. We need to add input because the flow needs input, like which data you want to export. So the input will be our collection. So I will add my input name as, let's say, Excel content. Inputs will be from PowerApps. So just leave as it is. The second thing we have to do is we have to create a CSV table based on that collection. So there is an action called as create CSV table. You can see the create CSV. There is one action, there is HTML table, but we have to select the CSV table. Then it asks for from where you want to create the table. So we want to create a table based on that collection. So that will be our Excel content, but it should be in JSON format. So what I'm going to do, go to expressions, select JSON off, and that trigger point. Click on OK. Okay, I guess expression is invalid. Let me check if the JSON is like this. Okay. I think this should work. Let's see. Yeah, this one, it should be small. Then we have to click on some advanced option. Then we are going to create the column, custom columns, right? Because as you can see in my CSV table, I have columns, but if you see an automatic column, then it will display all the columns you have in your gallery or our data source, right? But I want only selected columns, so what I'm going to select here is custom. So header, the column header will be the first line. So the first name, last name, email, these are the column names which is in the header, and the value will be their row value. So this is the Marcin value, right? Like that. So the header, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to display the first name. Here, one thing to note, in your header, you cannot actually give a space. So you can see here between first name and last name, there is a space associated. But if you keep pressing your keyboard, but it won't allow you to create a space. So what I generally do is just write the first. So let's say here I will do first, I will give a space name, just simply copy that and paste it here. I don't know how weird is this, but yeah, it should work like that. For similar way, I will use last name like this. So the value I'm going to write after that. Then I will go to my employee information list. Let's say this one. We have the first name, last name. The text will become okay. The hire date. I'm not going to select all the columns. I'm just going to simply select the unique column. So the single line of text has been done. Then I am going to the date column. So this called as the hire date. I will go to my PowerApps. So here select hire date. Then we have blood group and department name. These are the choice column. So the fourth column will be my blood group. Okay, fine. We can use the department name as well. So for this, I'm just going to use the department instead of department name. Then we have job title, university, social security number. I guess that is fine. Let's take a job title as well because it's important. Here I'm going to job title. Okay. We don't need this extra row, right? Fine. So we have a total 6 columns created in our CSV table. The value should be, it's really simple. We just have to write the item. And so if you worked with Power Automate earlier, you can see that if you go to apply to each loop, you have to simply write like this: item, question mark, and then the column name. So here the column name should be your internal column name, not the column you see here, right? So you can see for every column I did not have any space in between. So that's the exact name I have to write in my Power Automate as well. So here we have the items of first name. Okay, sorry, this goes here. For the last name as well, only first name to be last name. For hire date, we have the column called hire date, and the blood group will be blood group. The department will be department name. The reason is department name because in my SharePoint the column is called as department name, but in my Excel file I am using the heading as a department only instead of department name. That's why I use this one. So here department name. For the job title, the column name is job title. I will click on save. There's one thing, like for the single line of text you can simply write the column name, but if you are using lookup or if you are using the choice field, that means a drop down field, you have to give the value also. But currently I used direct name. So if I save this, so let's go here, you see there is one error. Okay, I think, okay, I opened this in Power Apps, so I thought I opened this in Power Automate, that's why it directly closed. After that, we have to create a CSV file, because we already created a CSV file like structure, but we have to create a file. So for this, we are going to use the SharePoint's create a file action. Search for create file. Select your site, and the site I'm going to use, it's called intranet. The folder path, I want to store this file in your shared document folder. The file name should be, file name will not really matter, so I'm just going to use the name like this one. So let's say employee info information underscore current timestamp, so that I will get from the UTC now dot CSV. The extension is important, because even though the action is called create a file, you have to specify the extension, which is our .csv file. If you use .excel and if you think I will get Excel file, it won't work, because in CSV file you have the comma separated value, but if you use the .xls or xlsx extension here, it will gives you an error that the file is unsupported. There are lots of video where you can convert the CSV file to Excel, but we have the encodian connector, I guess, and it's a premium connector. It requires the licensing. I don't know it's premium or not, but yeah, it requires the third-party licensing. So I think the CSV file will work if you don't want to purchase a license for that. The file content will be whatever the output of our create a CSV table action. So just select the output here. So the file has been created. Now, if you remember, when I click on export, there is a link associated, right? So once we create a file, there will be a link to that file, right? But how we are going to get that link in our PowerApps application? Because we have to use the action. There is an action called as create a sharing link. I will just type sharing link. Let's see if it's appear. Okay, this one, create sharing link for a file or a folder, because the file has been created already. We need that link. So again, here you have to select the site address. That will be our intranet. Library name will be our documents. Item ID will be whatever the item ID of this file. So you see there is a create a file action, and in that we have the item ID. Link type will be, I will always select view and edit. Link scope will be anyone with the link including anonymous, but I will not recommend this. I will only recommend the people in your organization. If you select the first option, then anyone will have that link and open that file. But yes, I will simply use a scope to an organization members only. So after the link is created, you have to send that link back to your Power Apps, because the link will generate in Power Automate. The Power Apps will not get that link until you use respond action. So this action called respond to Power Apps. You have to add an output. The output will be a simple text, because we don't have the link option. Link is just a string, right? So here I'm just going to use the, let's say, file link, and here you have to select the sharing link from the action called as create a link for a file or folder. You just have to select this one. Just click on save. I guess this has been saved. I will close this. It will auto refresh. So if you are modifying the flow in your Power Apps, it will automatically go into refresh. But let's say if you open Power Automate on the other tab, then what you have to do, you have to go here and click on refresh manually. Sometime it refresh, sometime it won't, but yeah, it's good choice to have the refresh automatically. Okay, sorry, I think I accidentally deleted that one. So here is my export button. We will solve this error because the flow name is different. So here, this is my flow name. Okay, I'm just going to type with this again. We have one error here. Let's show loader. Okay, that's loader. Okay. So for the export, what we have to do, we have to first create the JSON like structure in that, right? Because we cannot directly pass the complete collection in your Power Automate. So for that, we have to simply pass that collection as a parameter to our Power Automate. But first, what I'm going to do, whenever I click on export, there should be a loader. So if you see demo in the beginning, when I click on export, there is a loader. So for that, I am going to use the simple variable called update context. So the variable name will be let show loader, and it will be true when I click on export button, and after that it will be false. And I am going to write our formula in between these. For loader, I am using the modern spinner control. You can see if I just show you here. So this is my spinner control where I put the label as export in progress, and its visible property, I am going to set that variable let show loader, which I created on select of this button. So all our formula is going in between these two. So we have to store the file link generated from the Power Automate. So you have to click on set. So let's say the variable name will be var file link, comma, whatever is our flow name. Let's say this is my flow. I forgot to rename that flow, but yeah, you have to rename it. So this is my flow Power App v2. CSV table dot run. Now here, if you think that you will just pass your collection, so this is my collection name. Let's see what happens if you directly pass your collection. After that, we have the file link that we need to set on the variable. So if I look at the error, it says invalid argument type, expecting a text value instead, right? Because the collection is our array of objects. So what we have to do, we have to create a JSON of that JSON, and then JSON format will be include binary data. So after that, there is one bracket close remaining, right? So after you click on JSON, there is one another error. So let's see what that error is. If you hover over it, I can just simply copy and paste the formula, but I want you guys to go with each and every step and see what errors you are giving, right? Or I can just directly go and paste the formula here without explaining you. But yes, the reason I am showing you this error as well, because you need to figure it on your own if you get stuck in this kind of error in your future, right? So once the first error we got is, we have error that it requires the text, but we are passing the collection. But again, we converted that array of object into our string, but again after that we are getting one error. So what the error is, the JSON function cannot serialize table with a property called attachment of the type table, because the attachment we have in your SharePoint list, right? There is one attachment column which is a blob type, we can say, or array of object, but it is not supported. So we don't need that attachment column in our export to Excel formula, export to Excel sheet, right? So to remove any column, we have the formula called as drop column in our Power Apps. So here, instead of directly adding the collection, you can simply use the function called drop column. The first parameter will be your data source, it will be your collection or either your SharePoint list. Then what column I have to drop here? The attachment one. I will close this. Let's see if we got all the brackets correctly. So here's my drop columns, run JSON drop column and then selected file to export. Then we have attachment. After that we close this bracket. JSON format will be include binary data, and after that we have the file link. Okay, I will click on save. So let's see what error we have here. We cannot do it because the I will click on format text. So you can see there is no error in our formula. Let's save our Power Apps. Now that we got the link in our variable, so this link I am going to use it on button. So I have taken another button which is not showing you because the button is hidden until we have the link in our variable. So the button is here. So you can see the visible property I have. If the button is blank, then I don't want to show that button. So on the button on select formula, I just use the launch function to launch that URL. So this is the format launch. Then you have to select that variable, then give the empty parameter, and the launch target will be new. So I want to open in a new tab. So this is a simple thing. I will play the app. So let's say I will select some random records here. I will click on export. It says export in progress. So the button has been visible. I will open this. And you can see all the column that we specified in our Power Automate is visible here. The only thing you notice here, the department is showing like this object format, because I mentioned earlier for single line of text, for date field, multi-line text, we don't have to write any special thing. You just have to write the column name. But if you are using choice or lookup field, you get the object format. So how you resolve this? You go to your Power Apps, you edit the flow, because I did that error by purpose, because I want to show you guys how different formula, different column type have different structure when you are writing in your Power Automate. So just edit the flow, go to create a CSV table action, go to blood group. So here what you have to do, you have to write that formula as it is, but instead the blood group, after that you have to specify the value as well. So the value, why we use the value, because in your blood group you want the value. There is a key value pair, so this value we want. So similarly I will copy this one, and for the department name as well it will be same. Department name. The expression is invalid. Why? Okay, let's cut this. Let's paste it again. Yeah, I don't know why it's happening. Okay, let's save this. Close this one. It's auto refreshing. Will take a time. Okay, till that refresh, I'm just going to hit reset. But for now, I am going to filter the record and then I'm going to export that in Excel. So let's say I want all the records of employees whose names start with, let's say, Andy. I don't know if the records is there or not, but give a try. Okay, we have total, I think, 8 records here. So out of those, I have to select the records having only a positive and B negative. So total 5 items I have selected. What you can do for enhancement, you can just simply add one checkbox here, and when you click on the checkboxes, if there are items in your gallery, all the gallery item will be auto selected. So this functionality you can do, but you can easily found the video in your YouTube, but I did not found any similar kind of video like where you want to select the specific records and then export. There might be some videos, but yeah. So I'm just going to export all these 5 records. Just simply click on export. Here is open link. Okay, so you can see there is the records for the person first name is Andy, and you can see the blood group and department is showing correctly now. So here if you think that if you want to format this date, so is it saying this MMDDYY format? If you want to format this, you can easily apply your date formatting in your Power Automate. So there is a formula for that, like if you want to have the specific formatting, like you want to show the month first, then you want to show the date and then year, you can do that in Power Automate. Now after this thing done, the main thing is when you click on receipt, there are lots of things you have to do. You have to reset the filters, you have to reset all the combo box and search button, you have to clear the collection. So if you did not clear your collection, let's say after receipt, there are 4 entries. So let's say I have 4 entries selected. If you did not reset that collection, like the data you want to export, it will still remain in that collection. It will give some issues. So this is a very important thing. So if you see on receipt, what I'm going to, I'm just clearing the records, but creating a blank collection, resetting the controls, search control and to combo box, and the file link, because the file link is also a string and we have to reset it, because for every export there will be new file generated in your SharePoint, so you have to reset that as well. Now this was our demo. I will quickly show you how the file is created in our SharePoint. So my SharePoint site is intranet, in that we have the document library. So you can see there are the files, so employee information and the current timestamp. So we have used the UTC now, right? So these are the files generated. Again, for enhancement, this is just an idea what you can do when the file is generated, because there are lots of cases like if you close the PowerApps accidentally, right, but you won't get that file. You have that in backend, but you have to go here, filter by your name, check the timestamp when the file is created. There's a lot of work. So what you can do, once the file is exported, you can just simply send that file to your email, or you can just select some recipients, you can just simply click on export. The file will be generated here, but also a copy of that file will be sent to your email, so you will not lose that file, because it will make a lot of sense to, instead of going to document library, searching in between thousands of files, you can just simply go to email, check the today's file and the today's time, you will get that file, right? So I hope you understand this video, and if you have any doubts or question, you can please let me know in comments. Or if you want to give some suggestion like this scenario you can cover in your next videos, you can please let me know in comments. Thank you.